Hi everyone, my name is Hannah, and this is my game analysis project on Detroit Become Human. First, Detroit Become Human is a sci-fi crime fiction interactive story game that follows three different androids as the protagonists of the narrative: Agent Connor, Kara, and Marcus, where the narrative follows these androids as they navigate life in Detroit with different goals and overcome obstacles, ranging from caring for others to solving crimes. Created by Quantic Dream, the game focuses on challenging the player's internal biases, moral code, and perspective on human-like androids and technology, specifically through themes of love, friendship, family, and more that connect with players emotionally. The non-diegetic sound throughout this chapter conveys a suspenseful tone, since Connor is a hard-boiled detective in the narrative, where the primary feature is the use of holding right-click to enter a detective vision state that visually organizes points of interest for players. Specifically, this can be seen in various forms, including the obsessive writing visual or the reconstruct function that enables players to see the story unfold, as these varying levels of engagement keep players challenged, yet still allows them to maintain pace and direction. However, these little G interactions with the objectives and the overall narrative also enable interactions with characters, like Connor discussing the case details with Hank, that tell the story using big G themes and elements, such as using depth of field to direct the player's attention, or how Hank gives Connor fatherly guidance throughout the cutscene, especially considering that Hank lost his son. Overall, these interactions represent the game's overarching themes and emphasize how players can choose which themes to engage with most, meaning that player choices impact both the little g and big G elements for the best emergent gameplay possible. Regarding the look of the game, the UI is very technological and futuristic, especially seen in the use of flowcharts and geometric patterns embedded in each chapter, in which the game is visually structured in chapters based on narrative plot points, such as the mission start and confront deviant outside checkpoints. According to authors Katie Salen and Eric Zimmerman, the relationship between the player's choice and the system's response is one way to characterize the depth and quality of interaction, where this influences both interactivity itself and how the interactivity is structured. Specifically, the demo, or the first chapter, showcases how the game encourages players to use their own moral codes to achieve narrative goals, such as how my goal in the clip provided was to save the little girl and the deviant, whereas others may have chosen to shoot the deviant in order to save the girl. Let's take a look at the clip.
Stay back! Don't come any closer or I'll jump!
No, please, I'm begging you!
Go!
Hi, Daniel! My name is Connor! How do you know my name? I know a lot of things about you. I've come to get you out of this. I know you're angry, Daniel, but you need to trust me and let me help you. I don't want your help! Nobody can help me! All I want is for all this to stop! I just want all this to stop! Are you armed? Yes. I have a gun. Drop it! No sudden moves or I'll shoot! There! No more gun! I know you and Emma were very close. You think she betrayed you, but she's done nothing wrong. She lied to me! I thought she loved me. But I was wrong. She's just like all the other humans.
Daniel, no!
They were going to replace you and you became upset. That's what happened, right?
I thought I was part of the family. I thought I mattered. But I was just their toy. Something to throw away when you're done with it.
Listen, I know it's not your fault. These emotions you're feeling are just errors in your software.
No, it's not my fault. I never wanted this. I loved them, you know? But I was nothing to them. Just a slave to be ordered around. I can't stand that noise anymore. Tell that helicopter to get out of here.
The situation is under control.
There, I did what you wanted. Listen, there are snipers on every roof. Let the hostage go. You have no other choice.
I want everyone to leave! And I want a car. When I'm outside the city, I'll let her go.
That's impossible, Daniel. Let the girl go, and I promise you won't be hurt.
I don't want to die.
You're not going to die. We're just going to talk. Nothing will happen to you. You have my word.
Okay. I trust you. You lied to me, Connor. You lied to me.
The game falls under the sci-fi and crime fiction genres, so after playing each chapter blindly, players then reflect on one's decisions with the sci-fi based flowchart and get to choose if they want to replay a section, such as going back to search for more evidence and unlockable options that provide agency over the narrative. In addition to replayability, timed and non-timed interactions give the player agency and emergent gameplay in both active and passive ways, including how players can choose to keep the gun or may find it before being prompted. The game uses a combination of cinematic cutscenes with exploration-based gameplay that enables players to unlock extra dialogue options or piece together the story on their own first, such as viewing the news reporting and passively foreshadowing the narrative or emotional experience ahead. Lastly, players are expected to connect with characters through moral connections and make interactive decisions based on how they relate with the story, like how I chose the peaceful approach in hopes of saving both the girl and the deviant, meaning that these moral interactions give players agency over the narrative themes. Primarily, players can play the game two ways. You can either pick between dialogue options based on narrative context during cutscenes, or you can move around in third person and explore the environment to gather information on where to go next. Specifically, players can use their keyboard to pick between dialogue options, or use Q to enter cinematic mode, which enhances agency over the storytelling medium and interactivity by choosing which method to connect with the narrative through and impacts upcoming decisions. For instance, author Chris Crawford describes, "The audience gets just enough creative freedom to meet its needs, and the heavy-duty creativity remains under the control of the high-powered creators." With this in mind, these mechanics demonstrate how the game designer has authorship over the rules and storytelling methods, but the player has agency through choices in order to tailor the game's progression and experience to one's liking. In the interrogation chapter, players are encouraged to keep the meter in a certain range, but only if they want that particular outcome in the narrative, or the previously implemented mechanics influence how players gravitate towards an outcome, such as studying the burn marks on the victim's arms. This responsive meter, paired with the heavily desired moral outcome, keeps the game fun and challenging by testing a player's game sense and agency over the narrative, evidently creating emergent gameplay by connecting players through big G choices in a little g format. Considering the available dialogue options, the meter responds to each input and new dialogue options are potentially given, such as the unlockable options about RA9, where audiences approach these mechanics through one's moral lens in order to achieve various goals, including extracting a confession or gaining reputation with Hank. Ultimately, players receive feedback from both the confession meter and reputation with Hank, which challenges both game sense and emotional connection to the game by giving players agency over how they interact with the feedback systems and emergent experiences by connecting with characters. Overall, the story is about changing how humans perceive androids by having players perceive the narrative from the android's standpoint, where the game uses various storytelling elements like cinematic cutscenes or passive exploration-based interactions to challenge the player's mindset. In addition to cutscenes and passive exploration, individual emotional moments, such as when Kara asks Alice about her cuddly fox toy, or Alice gives Kara the key to her special box, signify that the player is narratively on track and connecting with the characters well, resulting in enhanced verisimilitude and storytelling. Furthermore, the narrative is structured by the hero's journey and showcases different themes in each journey, like how Connor is a hard-boiled detective earning respect with Hank, or how Kara is learning to be the best caregiver she can be for Alice. The story uses themes of moral ambiguity throughout, including Hank's hatred for androids, but respects Connor, and how Kara is unafraid to defend Alice, but does bad things in the process. Just like how I chose to shoot Todd in my own playthrough. Let's take a look at the clip.
You look bored. Would you like to play a game? Aren't you going to school today?
You shouldn't mess around with my stuff. It makes me nervous.
I'm sorry, Todd.
You just stay the fuck out of my business. Unless you want to piss me off. You want to piss me off?
No, Todd. That's a pretty toy. What's its name? Alice in Wonderland. Of course. I'm sure we used to be friends before I was reset. Maybe we can be friends again. What about your mother? Will she be home soon? You should tell me about yourself. What you like to do, where you like to go, your favorite foods. That would really help me. Your father said you chose my name. Kara, it's nice. How did you choose it?
I know what you think of me. You hate me. You hate me, don't you? Say it! You hate me! God, what am I doing? I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know I love you, don't you? You know I love you. It's all your fault.
Daddy, no!
It's all your fucking fault! I just wasn't good enough for her! Fucking brat!
Don't hurt me! Please don't hurt me! Daddy!
Good, Alice.
That's enough! Leave her alone.
What the fuck are you doing? Put down the gun and get the fuck out of here. That's an order!
No! I want you to leave her alone.
You want? What do you mean you want? What are you gonna do? You gonna shoot me? Is that it? You gonna shoot a human? You seem to have a problem. I think we need to fix that.
Watch out, Kara!
Come here, bitch.
Stop, Dad! Don't hurt her! Leave her alone!
You do as I say!
Regarding design features, the game uses mise-en-scène interactions, such as finding Todd's gun and antidepressants, or the pile of bills and paperwork that tell players what kind of morally atrophied Father Todd is in the narrative, which makes players take on Kara's protective nature and morals more easily. Thus, these features facilitate the development of Kara and Alice's relationship through player interactions, including how I chose to ask more motherly questions while interacting with Alice, where players witness traumatic cutscenes for both Kara and Alice that influence the player's agency over the narrative. Finally, the role of interactivity in these chapters is critical for the best engagement with the narrative. as actively discovering the gun and passively learning about Alice's life while serving dinner enabled me to defend Alice more fiercely in the final cutscene and make more morally charged decisions for the duration of the game. Lastly, the player experience feels like I am living the narrative myself, especially with my own moral code as a lens, and it is personified through the androids and my interactions with other characters, where the androids feel like a morally blank slate that I fill in as the player to connect with the game more personally. However, I used both game sense and narrative sense in order to understand what to do, such as using game sense to explore the map or use right click to find objectives, but narratively, I knew where the story was going by keeping the hero's journey in mind with each chapter. Additionally, author Carolyn Miller describes interactive protagonists are a chance to do something that would be too dangerous or too expensive to do in real life, or to have an experience that would be impossible, such as traveling to a different time zone or visiting outer space. Therefore, this ideology reminds players that one has agency over the storytelling experience and what one emotionally learns, particularly by spending time in the protagonist's shoes, which can be seen when Marcus learns to feel deeper emotions through Carl's guidance while painting. Similarly to Kara and Alice, Marcus's gameplay tends to follow both the hero's journey and a string and pearl structure, which made me feel more in control of the storytelling when paired with my game sense by enabling me to pace myself accordingly. I especially enjoyed the emotionally and morally charged thinking projected onto players from Carl, who Marcus perceives as a father figure, as themes of jealousy for Carl's real son prompted me to feel Marcus's rebellious goals more strongly and apply my own experiences to my interactions. Alas, the game felt most enjoyable when my interactions, agency over the storytelling, and game sense paid off by guiding me to my expected outcomes, which made me feel the most connected to the game and actually made me learn more about myself than the original themes presented in the narrative. Here is my works cited page, and I hope you enjoy the funny screenshot of the hamburger that I took while playing the game. And yeah, thanks for watching.